Hey everyone, welcome to another 902 gaming video. Today I'm going to be going through another standard deck list from December 27th. And up today we have black-green Golgari, I guess, or black-green Skewed Swarm, since apparently everybody that plays black-green wants to play Skewed Swarm and Nashaya for some reason. If you've watched any of my other videos, especially some of the Sultai ones, people are absolutely obsessed with Nashaya and obsessed with Skewed Swarm. The one thing that actually stood out to me in this one was the 4 Cosmos Elixir, actually. That's a very interesting card for a deck like this to be running. It's a good way to draw cards, for sure. It's a good way to buoy your life against like a mono white deck or something. You also have Druid class, which also helps against the mono white deck. And then as I was building this deck, I happened to notice this small little detail. If you look right here, the deck is actually 66 cards. Now, normally I don't play more than 61 as a general rule. That's my max for standard. So my guess is when they were building the deck, and I've done this many times myself, and you've probably done it yourself as well, when you build a deck and you have stuff like lessons in the sideboard, or that you should have lessons in the sideboard, and you build a deck and you have all these cards with learn in your deck, and then you exit the deck, the deck creator, and then you go and you start playing a game, and then you realize you didn't actually put any cards in your sideboard. So what I think actually might have happened with this deck list is they built it and they didn't really realize that they had, maybe it's intentional, I don't know. My guess is that some of these cards probably wouldn't have been in the main deck. Potentially the Cosmos Elixir, that would put it at about 62 cards, and after that I'm not quite sure what else would have potentially been in the sideboard, but I would guess that's one of them for sure. But I'm gonna play it as is, as listed, as 66 cards, and see how we actually play out. It is playing 27 lands, so that's interesting to note as well, that it's playing a ton of lands. It does have, it's playing 1 access tunnel, I guess, to make something unblockable. Power 3 or less can't be blocked. Maybe the Toski. It looks like nothing else really other than the Toski. I guess it kind of gives you a free card draw every turn by spending 4 mana. But I think the Toski also makes any creature you deal combat damage, you draw a card. So another interesting card choice is the Tergrid's Shadow. I initially thought this might have been the 5 mana sorcery, the Shadow, the card that I continuously forget the name of. And I thought initially that may be why it was there, but then I kind of realized that at instant speed, this is, for 5 mana, it's actually pretty good, because the majority of time when you play a removal spell like Path of Peril or something like that, generally you may only get 2 creatures, sometimes 3. And in a deck that's playing Skewed Swarm, generally you'll just get rid of a couple of tokens and you'll get to keep any of your bigger creatures around. So those are 2 reasons why I wanted to play the deck, Cosmos and the Tergrid's Shadow. I did not realize until I built the deck that it was 66 cards. I think it potentially might have only wanted to be 61 or 62. I think the Cosmos should have been in the sideboard, or was supposed to be in the sideboard. But anyways, I'm just going to play some best of 1 games with it and see how it actually plays out. And I built it exactly the way it is with the 2 environmental sciences in the sideboard. This is it here. And see how it actually does. I mean, there could be some, I don't think there's any math behind 66 cards, although I think at one point there might have been. I think with Arena, I don't think the math that was available before plays any part, because I think in some ways there's some type of algorithm that determines, at least in best of 1, that determines your starting hand or your draw. Okay, well, I can crack the Evolving Wilds, Prosperous Innkeeper, and then Skewed Swarm. I'm gonna go first. It's not a very good hand. I potentially should have mulliganed because of the Dread Feast Demon. I can hope to draw. I can play this and hope to draw another land, and then if I draw another land, then that'll be. I'd rather keep the Evolving Wilds if I can, just as for landfall. Nope. Okay. Well, we tried. I have to crack it now. I have to get the other land out. Just so I can play something this turn. I don't want to risk not drawing a land. I mean, I always could, but I risk not drawing a land like I did there. Just get Jawari. Oh no, reject. Okay. Okay, cool. Just all counter spells all the time. Now, against a control deck, if I don't hit land drops, it's pretty much game over. So I do need to hit. If I do not hit a land next turn, it's likely over. Yep. So they're playing a mill. It looks like, or man, this card I think is just good anyway. I think it's fine. Hey, there goes 2 lands. Oh, I drew a land anyway. Yeah, I kind of really wish I had green source here, but I don't. The mana base definitely needs work. If you look at the mana base here, I'm not playing a lot of dual lands. I think it's necessary for a deck like this. At least the 8 dual lands. If you're playing 2 colors, at least the 8 dual lands you should be playing. There's an elixir gone. Okay. I'm protected this time. Sure. Still be able to draw a card if they attack next turn. That's an easy one. I do like Toski and Snakeskin Veil as well. I think it's a pretty good combination. Or just gonna concede there. I'm way too far behind in that matchup. Not a good matchup for this deck for sure. Once I'm down to 0 cards, and I'm not playing. I don't think I'm playing any spot removal. I don't have any outs there. I think it was a bad draw. I probably should have mulliganed, I think. Mental note to mulligan on a Evolving Wilds and 1 basic land. But I think that rogue is also very underrated for blue-black. I mean, what essentially amounts to a 2-mana flying 2/3 creature. Flash. Ugh. Okay, well. I'm gonna put this swamp on the bottom. I'm gonna play. I think we're just gonna go get it. I'm gonna get another forest, actually. I don't know how that card's any better than the Diabolic Tutor. But again, it could be a situation where my opponent isn't, or the person that built the deck was more budget minded and didn't want to spend the wild cards. So this is where I have the issue with decks like this. They tend to do nothing against the blue-red decks at all. It might be good against like mono-white decks, I don't know, but because I never seem to play the mono-white decks when I play Skewed Swarm. I probably should have played the Toski there. Yeah, I'm not going to play it now. That was a mistake. I'm going to try to do this, I guess. I keep forgetting about that. Oh, they're playing Jeskai. Okay. Which probably means they're playing a Wrath. Well, they're playing a lot of cards with Foretell here. You sure? Okay. I think now's a good time to play the Toski. Oh, so you can trigger it multiple times. That's interesting. Okay. That's way better than I gave it credit for initially. Just need another swamp. Oh, I should have got a forest. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Yeah, I should have got a forest there. So I made 2 mistakes so far. That's fine. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I have 5 mana. Or I have Tegrid's Shadow. I have a few options here. I think I can play the Westgate Regent now. I have a counterspell for it, but that's fine. I do like this combination as well. Toski and Westgate. A good combination. So I have Snakeskin Veil to protect either one of them. Again, one of the cards that's so much better against decks like this. They potentially have another Doomscar. Yeah. Sure. It doesn't seem to. They don't seem to be playing a lot of counter spells. We'll just play this. Fading Hope. Yep, I'll counter it. Or we'll try to anyway. Okay. So I do have the ability to play this. Or I can... Not sure if that was the right choice. I think the not getting the extra force was a mistake early. Yep. I could have activated and done quite a bit of damage, but... Do they have a counterspell? Might. Or? Could use a land here, actually. Okay, Skewed Swarm is interesting. Could potentially have another. I could probably card draw or something. That was a bad draw. That was one thing I didn't realize, that it actually triggers multiple times. That's interesting. Nice. They likely have a Wrath, but that's okay. as well attack first. Sure. Does that mean that they don't have a Wrath? Or are they just attacking and then going to use the Wrath? Oh, okay, it was Epiphany. Sure. And now we play the waiting game. See if they can actually finish me off. Yeah, one more turn. Did you get another one? You have enough mana? Nice. $16.24. No more extra turns. Are you one shy? Mm-hmm. Interesting. Good game. Well, I guess I can understand now why people like playing Skewed Swarm so much, because that's pretty sweet, actually. Yeah, but to me, it's still a win more sort of card. The Vastwood Surge definitely makes the deck have a bit of more of a finisher to it. I'm not going to play another one. You kind of got to see both sides of the deck there. I just want to rename this actually. 27. Golgari. Swarm. There we go. Again, I think it just plays. You play for the little bit of the dopamine rush of getting the Skewed Swarm and the Druid class and Green Warden into play, and you kind of go off from there, and then you have the Vastwood Surge to sort of end the game. That game there actually showed me two things. It showed me the power of Toski, number one. I was under the assumption originally, I hadn't played the card that much. I've played it before. That you could only draw one card, like, because most cards nowadays will say like you can only use this ability once, or this ability only triggers once. I never realized that you draw one for each card, or for each creature that deals damage. So that makes him much, much better. As for the 66, I mean, maybe there are extra lands that are in there. I'm not 100% sure. Cosmos Elixir didn't seem necessary at all. If I were to build a Skewed Swarm deck, again, this card seems to, kind of mess me up generally more than it seems good and playable. Just because it actually counts itself as a land, and most things they destroyed like non-land permanents, so that kind of makes it weird. It doesn't make also everything else in the same way. So like Vanishing Verse wouldn't be able to target anything, which again, so I understand it from that perspective. But the card doesn't do enough. And maybe if the card had Trample, they were talking about with changes to Alchemy, cards that they see that are constantly being played will get adjustments as we go forward with Alchemy. Again, I have my own opinion on Alchemy. Like Cosmos Elixir, they saw people were playing Cosmos Elixir a lot, and they added the Scry ability to it. I could see this and potentially Skewed Swarm, because I don't think there's been a list or deck list that has been posted on Magic.gg since I started doing this that did not feature both of these cards. and then with some variation of maybe Ancient Green Warden or Druid class or some form of something like that. This is the first deck that I've seen that plays Dread Feast Demon. Essentially, this in combination with the Skewed Swarm will turn every token into the demon. So I guess as you play each land at the beginning of your end step, you sacrifice one of the Skewed Swarm tokens, and then it makes a 6/6 flyer. So that's another way for this deck to win. So I like that. Cards that I don't like right off the bat. Again, this could be for maybe budget reasons. I'm not 100% sure. It also could be for the fact that this is basically a 4-mana draw 2 basic lands. So it's kind of a sorcery speed inspiration, which was a 4-mana draw 2 cards at instant speed. So in that instance, for that scenario, it's fine. But I think if you're going to play a card like this, I would rather play what's it called again? The Dig Up. I would rather play a copy of that. If you're going to play anything that's 1 mana, at least for 4 mana, you get to pick the card that you want. So, imagine the situation where you have the Skewed Swarm and you need the demon to sort of combo off, then you go and tutor for the demon. But again, this could be a wild card availability issue for the person that was playing the deck. Maybe they just didn't want to spend the wild card on this card. I don't necessarily think this card's the best, but I think it's okay. So another card that I don't like is the Augur of Autumn. I think again it requires. Playing lands from top of your library is pretty sweet. And maybe in the context of this deck, it's probably good because it allows you to play the lands off the top of your deck. But I don't like it. It goes back to the same thing as playing like the 1-mana elves. Now, like something for me, if I wanted to play a ramp spell, it would have to be something like the Prosperous Innkeeper, where you can ramp and then it gives you a small little side effect as well. This guy drawing him late is also just as bad as the other ones. But at least he gives you the ability to, make a treasure. He is a blocker. Doesn't really do a lot of damage on his own, but I think he's more powerful than the 1-drops, when you play them on turn 1 versus when you play this guy on turn 2. He's more powerful than playing a 1-drop on turn 1, like the Mana Elves or anything like that. Then this guy's much more powerful when you play him on turn 2 as opposed to those ones. So that's why I like him more. The Druid class, again, I know the altered in that game, the last game that I just played. If this had been the alchemy version, I would have been able to create a large creature for 3 mana. So that would have been much better. I think would make this card much better, but I think it's still fine. I'm not a fan of Roiling Regrowth. It's basically a reprint of Harrow from, I think it was from Mirage, if you remember from 1,000 years ago. I'd rather, in all honesty, in this deck, and I've been a big fan of this card lately since one of the first times I played it. It is the one Field Trip. That's it. I would rather play Field Trip and then have maybe some access to something in my sideboard. Now, maybe this person that built the deck initially, that's why there's environmental sciences in the sideboard, because with Field Trip, plus the fact that you're playing a lot of forests, you can cast this, get a forest into play. Also, you get the forest, put it in the play tap, then you get to learn, which you get your environmental sciences, which allows you to cast it and play another land the following turn. So on turn 3 or turn 4 potentially, with the Skewed Swarm, it's essentially the same thing, but you're not sacrificing your mana base. You're actually going up a card, then down a card, if that makes any sense. So you cast a Field Trip, you get the forest, that's a 1. You get to learn, so you get a card, that's 2. Then you cast the learn spell, and then you get another land from it. So as opposed to the Roiling Regrowth, where you have 3 lands in play, you sacrifice 1 to get 1 extra 1. I'd rather have this card than that card, if that makes any sense. I think just the ability to learn too. I think this mechanic is highly undervalued in the current standard format. And I'm starting, as I'm playing these decks, I started to sort of realize that. Especially where games tend to go long, being able to basically be able to cast this on, like, if you take this card in Roiling Regrowth, if you cast Roiling Regrowth on turn 7 or 8, yes, you'll get 2 land triggers, yes. But if you have nothing in play, so if you have no Skewed Swarm, casting a Roiling Regrowth doesn't really do anything except maybe affect any other draws you have after that. But casting this on like turn 7 or 8 allows you to go and get the Mascot Exhibition. So the next turn you can cast that, and then you have 3 threats right away. So I like it for that potential, early and then late as well. So that's why I like this card, or at least I'm coming around on this card, or at least the learn mechanic anyway. I think Lawless is fine in this deck. I don't think the Westgate region has any. I've already given my opinion on Ashaya. I don't think it's a terrible card, but I also don't think it's a great card either. To me, it doesn't pass the dies to removal test. It doesn't have any effect. Like something like this, tremendous value when you have Druid class or Skewed Swarm. The Ashaya, it makes all your creatures basically untargetable by single target spells. Other than that, and in that point, in that last game that I was playing, where I had like 16 tokens, casting Ashaya would make it as a huge threat, but that could still be bounced, Infernal Grasp, whatever you want to say about it. Like, it can easily be targeted and gotten out of there. I would rather play more Toski than play that card. He's very difficult to remove. Another, I think everything else is pretty much fine. We still have a couple extra cards. Access Tunnel to me doesn't necessarily belong unless you're just going to combo it with Toski. I feel very comfortable dropping that card, and I don't mind staying at 61 cards with 26 lands. I think that's essentially all I would do, and then just alter the sideboard slightly so you can get some of these lessons into your sideboard. So having like Mascot Exhibition. It also gives you the ability to remove troublesome permanents if you find yourself. Necrotic Fumes, I think, is also very, very good in a deck that potentially can have a lot of tokens with Skewed Swarm. But yeah, I think that's it. I think trying to keep the integrity of the deck versus what my opinion of the deck is something I'm striving for when I go over these deck lists. So I try to keep the basic goal of the deck, and the goal of the deck was what you saw in the last game there, where you basically just play the Skewed Swarm and it gets super huge, and you might play Green Warden and then double the triggers, and then you basically end the game in one swing. And you also saw in that game there too, where my opponent cast Alrund's Epiphany, copied it, and then cast Emiria's is it Retribution? Sorry, Emiria's Call, and was able to copy it, and then they still didn't have enough damage because of the Druid class and because of the Green Warden turn. The Green Warden can potentially go down to 1 to allow you potentially to tutor for it. This could also go to the Shadow, the card that I constantly forget the name of. Shadow's Verdict. It could also potentially be that if you have the rare wild cards to spare. I didn't really get a chance to play it in the last game. It wouldn't have mattered. They've had a bunch of tokens out themselves, a bunch of bird tokens, so it didn't really matter. So I think if you're playing something like this, I don't know if it's a good combination with Toski. The Shadow's Verdict is a better card than this. But it could have some value against decks that play like 1 or 2 creatures, and then just kind of try to ride them to victory, so to speak. So I could see this card still being playable. I didn't see it be unplayable in that match. I just didn't see it being good. But then in that same situation, had I had Shadow's Verdict and I tried casting it, I would have also killed all of my tokens as well. So again, I can see why this card is being played. Anyways, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Took something away from it. It's another Skewed Swarm deck, and I have my opinions about it. I think it's a fun deck for sure. You saw how, how good it was in the last game there. And I think that's why it's played. I think you get that little rush of, multiple triggers, and you get all your double activations from the Ancient Green Warden, and you ride it to victory. Anyways, hopefully you enjoy this video, and I'll see you later.